What if your recurring yeast infections, BV or UTIs, aren't random or just something you have, but your body trying to communicate something deeper? In this episode of In Alignment, we sit down with Lindsay, founder of Momotaro Apotheca, to unpack why so many women are stuck in cycles of antibiotics, irritation, and shame, and what conventional feminine care is getting wrong. After years of chronic infections and symptom masking products that only made things worse, Lindsay began questioning the entire approach to vaginal health. What she discovered was that imbalance is really rarely just about bacteria. It's about stress, hormones, nervous system safety, diet, relationships, and how disconnected women have been taught to be from their bodies. This conversation breaks down why common vaginal symptoms are not actually normal, how antibiotics can in some cases make things worse, the link between stress, relationships, and vaginal health, what it means to treat symptoms without silencing the body, how clean, body respecting formulations can support real healing. If you have ever felt dismissed, confused, or stuck in cycles when it comes to your vaginal health, this episode will change how you think about your body, your symptoms, and your ability to heal. Thanks for being here today. Welcome to In Alignment. I'm Annie.
And I'm Marissa. You were meant to find this today, and we're so glad you're here.
I am so excited to have you here today, Lindsay. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being here with you, Annie, and I'm really excited to chat.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, let's dive in. I'd love to start off with your personal health journey and what first pushed you to question conventional feminine care.
Absolutely. So I was in pretty good health for most of my life. A few thyroid things here, some broken bones, but for the most part, really, really good, active, good diet, all the things. But around 26, 27, and this is kind of spicy, I had a new partner. He lived in Oregon, and we went hiking into the middle of nowhere and had sex in a hot spring. Or like adjacent to, like so gross and so dumb. At 26 years old, I can tell you I was like, more excited about impressing this partner and doing the cool thing. I went forward with it and I was excited. I was having fun, kind of knowing at the time, I was like, this doesn't seem like a good idea, but I did it anyway. Like, lo and behold, of course, I get the yeast infection from Satan himself, go straight to, what I thought was kind of my only option, the like quote unquote feminine care aisle at a CVS or a Dwayne Reed. We all know it. It's embarrassing. We, go there to find washes or douches or creams or whatever. There's all sorts of stuff. I grab a monostat, and that's kind of the beginning of my real issues. I'm someone that's allergic to those products. So that turned into a cycle of then going to the OB-GYN, to a naturopath, getting BV getting Metrogel, having a kidney infection, taking more antibiotics, getting another yeast infection, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I ended up having like pretty hardcore vulva, vaginal, and microbiome issues for like 2 years that I could not get rid of.
That's crazy. And are some people more susceptible to these than others, or what's typically the root cause of these infections?
Well, so it depends, right? The three I just mentioned in particular all stem from different issues. Yeast infections are fungal, UTIs and bacterial vaginosis are bacterial, though they stem from different bacteria. Depending on who you are and kind of like what your background is, you can be more susceptible. So as a kid, I had a ton of strep throat, actually, despite me being like, I'm in good health. So I was on a ton of antibiotics. That year also, I was traveling a lot, and I was a photographer before I owned Momotaro. And I had gotten really sick in some developing countries doing some projects with Doctors Without Borders. And so also had been on a lot of antibiotics. So I think my microbiome was already kind of like less than perfect because I had been on all these really hardcore antibiotics, making me more susceptible to other infections. So that's definitely something to consider. Vulvovaginal issues are also comorbidities of other issues, whether it's somebody who may be going through cancer treatment or diabetes is really common. But our vaginal microbiome is one of the first places that other symptoms show up. Like through our reproductive health, we're incredibly sensitive people. And so depending on if you have other issues or influences, you may be somebody that experiences a higher rate of these infections.
Interesting. I do feel like personally, I've never had one. And then I have some friends who get them constantly. And I've always
Totally.
wondered why that is. It's interesting.
Yeah, totally. And it also can be lifestyle, right? Some people are getting UTIs all the time because of maybe the way they're having sex, because of the lube that they're using, because of their diet. There's a lot of things that can be considered pretty minute that end up impacting us just in our like daily care regimen.
Right. Interesting. And so I guess when you started experiencing these the first time, I assume you went to the over-the-counter medications, antibiotics. Did that work or did it make it worse?
No, so like I said, for me, I just like went and took a monostat, and like for me, putting a monostat in my body like made me like have crazy, crazy symptoms like massive inflammation, a ton of burning, more itching. It didn't help. This can also be super common for a lot of people. And then went straight to my OB-GYN after that and was like, what is going on? They're like, well, some people have allergies, so try this. Fluconazole is another pretty common prescription you can get from your OB-GYN. And still, it didn't work. Also, now we know that a lot of these medications actually are connected to recurrent issues because they are so intense. So if you take it, you are actually more likely to get another infection. And so that again also is very common. So that's when I was kind of like probably like a year in, I started looking at other more natural and just alternative methodologies for addressing these issues.
In the natural works. Tell us a little bit about how this then led you to start your business and kind of what that journey looked like for you. And then that can segue into how your products are so effective at really treating the root cause in a natural, safe, and effective way.
Totally. Well, I think we all kind of like know those like markers of DIY and at home care and prophylactic care, natural, and they can be incredible. There's a lot of really incredible natural medicine. And even a lot of the products that are made are biosynthetics, like meant to copy natural antimicrobials in the world, but they can be super clunky. They can be stinky. They can be uncomfortable. Like I went as far as like sticking a garlic clove up my vagina, which I highly do not recommend. It's horrifying. You can like kind of taste it. It's very odd. Or like green tea vulva masks. Like if you can Google it and it's in the natural world, I have done it. And that also is part of what led me to make my own products. My romantic partner at the time and business partner has a background in biology and chemistry and sustainability, supply chain. And we're like, okay, like, you know enough about creating. I have a background in beauty. Most of my clients in the photography world were like beauty brands. So I was going along formulation and brand building with them. And I'm like, we can do this on our own. And I'm seeing some positive effects from some of these natural products, but I don't really like the form factor, or I don't like the way they smell, or there's still things in here that aren't really working for me, or like, what about this? Why aren't we addressing these all together? And so I really just started to look around and see how ineffective the products were, both even in the natural world, the Western world, but that there was still a kind of pervasive amount of information out there about things that did have really promising results. And why weren't we putting these together to address these issues holistically? Like not just the itching from a yeast infection and not just the bacterial vaginosis, but like all of them truly together, because there's some really powerful plants that actually are addressing fungal and bacterial issues at the same time. So for me, that also felt really important, is to be able to look at these issues and address them in an efficient way. Because I was spending so much money on BV, yeast, UTIs, itching, irritation, the root cause, the symptoms. And I wanted really one thing or less things to solve my issues.
Amazing. And what were you doing before? Because then you pivoted to becoming a founder. So were you
Oh.
always a founder? What were you doing before this?
No, so I was a full-time photographer. So I've lived in New York for the past 16 years, and my clientele were primarily beauty companies. So I was working for Maybelline, L'Occitane, Lancome, um, really shooting content at like kind of at the beginning of the like Instagram era, and for brands wanting to be able to like show up in a lot of different ways. And I think it was really also at the time where brands were starting to realize they needed to be more transparent. So I was spending a lot of time at factories, like at the Johnson and Johnson Innovation Lab in New Jersey. And I was like, oh, like, okay, like not to dumb it down, but for me, I was like, I understand how you're doing this. You're showing me the research, you're showing the doctors you're working with, you're showing, all of these different parts. And then again, like I said, my business partner, he had a background in, lab work. I was like, we can start doing this research ourselves essentially. And I was also frustrated too, like not to talk shit on past clients. I really love that work, but I was just beginning to see and really feel like I was helping brands market things I didn't necessarily believe in, whether they were beauty products or body types or messaging that I just felt actually was really, really harmful, which really resonated with me in terms of the like feminine care world. I feel like that world is full of shame, stigma, misinformation. And so I was really hell bent on like creating a new vision around what now I would just like to say is like vulva and vaginal health, right?
Mhm. Amazing. You solved your own problem. And tell us a bit about your products and what they target. Are they going after the root cause, the symptoms? Are they preventing or alleviating the pain, the itching, the irritation? Tell us a little bit about the suite of products.
Yeah. So the whole line is built to do both, right? We know symptoms of these issues can almost be just as frustrating as the like, issue in its entirety, right? Like you wake up and you're like, whoa, my vagina or my vulva feels off. Like this is really uncomfortable. It's all I can think about. It's like, pounding or itching in my pants. I have to go to work. And I wanted to address that. I needed to like live my life. But then obviously I didn't want to just mask symptoms like so many products do. I wanted them to get better at the same time. And so we built a line of products. Now, at the time we launched with 3, now we have 7 or 8 at the moment to topically soothe symptoms. So like if you have that, you're like, oh, I'm putting this on, say my vulva, and it immediately feels cooling. I can immediately feel like almost like an emotional release as well. Cause I'm like, oh, that feels good. And I know it's delivering these like hard hitting ingredients that address the root cause. So say you apply the salve to your vulva, it feels cool, but it's also touching the vestibule, which is a mucous membrane. So it's good for systemic and local delivery. So those antimicrobials that are addressing, say, the Gardnerella or the Candida of BV or yeast are then starting to work their magic within the bloodstream.
And are these products, anybody can use them? Or
Anybody can use them. Totally. They're totally body safe. They don't interfere with other medications. If you're pregnant, we do recommend that you consult your OB if this is the first time you're using natural products. But yeah, I mean, that's why we use anatomically correct language. We want people to be like, oh, yeah, I don't have to feel like weird or like that this doesn't resonate with me because it's not like this pink flowery soap that is supposed to make me feel like my vagina feels like a summer's day or something like that. We do, we want to expand actually because we did formulate specifically in vulva vaginal health, but we have people using these products for their hemorrhoids, on their penis, people who aren't circumcised, like on psoriasis, on their elbows. So they really are pretty expansive and can be used for anyone pretty much wherever, which is great.
it's amazing. I will say the face oil, I use that on my face to gua sha, and it's my favorite product.
The tonic, right? The dropper.
Well, so sometimes if I get breakouts, I'll use the tonic on my face, and I swear to God it helps my breakouts. But the body oil, like the larger, I
Yes.
use it on, correct me if I'm using this incorrectly,
No.
but I use it on my face almost daily, and I love it.
No, it's a dry oil too, and it's great. I mean, if you think about what people are putting in their products for their face, it's often antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory. Like if it's good enough for your vulva, it's definitely good enough for your face, for sure. They're all non-comedogenic as well, so it's not going to clog your pores because think about it, you have, big pores like, hair follicles down there. Like a lot of people use our products for post-waxing and shaving and things like that for the same reason, like it's all related.
Yeah. Yeah. And tell us a little bit about clean. I think clean beauty is having its moment, but I don't think people actually understand what clean means. Like the clean seal at Sephora definitely does not always mean the products are non-toxic. Your products are. So tell us a little bit about why that was so important to you and what your standard for quality is.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, clean is such a marketing term at this point, and I think there's a lot of even misinformation within the clean and wellness space because like, what does toxic actually mean, right? For some people, it could even be natural products. People have allergies, right? Some people can't have tea tree in their products. Some people can't have milk. Like, you know how it goes. But for us, it's really about providing the like purest, most unadulterated form of the plant for us, because like the plants we're using have a ton of information, but it's in their purest form. So we're really trying to deliver based on the science that we see in the clinical trials that we've looked at when formulating. So we used everything from Western clinicals to traditional Chinese medicine to Ayurveda. And then we have to think about how these products sit on the shelf. So for us, like aside from the body oil, everything sits in glass because there's some volatility to these ingredients. And we know if it sits in plastic for more than 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, we do testing on this, like we begin to have a different interaction from the packaging into the product. Effect on your body, especially when you're putting something on a body part that has a mucous membrane where it's then like leaching into your bloodstream. And so we're really, really careful about that. We do a ton of work in terms of individual sourcing. So we know where all of our plants come from, what, farms they come from, the farming practices, are they regenerative? Are they organic? We're really, really specific. And it's cool because we make a seasonal product, right? Like some years our salve is more golden because the golden seal, which sometimes gives its color, got more rain that year. So it's a more vibrant yellow. So people will be like, oh, my salve last time was like a little bit more pale and now it's more yellow and vice versa. And I'm like, yeah, it's just from the rain. Like we, check bioavailability. It's the same amount every single year. Like, it's just color and some differentiation there. So we're really, really careful, from everything from the plants we use, how they're farmed to what we package in. And that's what we think of as like a really, really clean product. And that's just a personal preference for me for my body. That doesn't mean I'm a purist at all times. Like I will absolutely go to the baseball park this summer and like eat a hot dog and drink a Coors Light. Like it's all about balance, right? But this for me, I'm a sensitive person. This like makes me feel good and it helps my body work optimally so that I can do those other things. Or if I don't get enough sleep, I have these products that protect me when my body is not operating as well as it should be, or if I'm doing other things in a wet swimsuit, having a cocktail, have rough sex, I have the support.
Yeah, totally. And I think that what you said is so important too, is that you will go to a baseball game and have a hot dog and a beer. It's balance. And I think that wellness has become so extreme. And that's almost, I was having this conversation actually with the friend last night. It almost becomes the antithesis of wellness when it is so rigid and so fear-based. And I think like the rule of thumb, this is what I always talk about through my business too, is what swaps can you make? Because yes, over 60% of what we put onto our skin, our scalp, any of our body parts is absorbed into our bloodstream. We don't want microplastics. We don't want synthetic ingredients and chemicals in our bloodstream. If there's one product we can't live without, maybe it's like our favorite nighttime moisturizer, so be it. But where else can you make the changes? And I think it's what you do cumulatively, what you do on average, and then you have more resilience and you have more of an ability to digest something or process something that is a little bit more toxic or inflammatory because your baseline is so much higher. So I think that's a really important note. And I think that people look at people like you in the wellness space as a founder, as, really knowledgeable in creating a clean, non-toxic product. And they're like, oh, she must be perfect. And I think it's such an important note that like we are all human and the goal is not perfection. It is.
No. And you're 100% right that stress is the antithesis. Like this, there's two things. I use this non-toxic, like beautiful, clean product way more than I'm eating a hot dog. I eat a hot dog twice a year. I don't really eat meat. So it's like, that's kind of like a big thing. I'm like, woo, party. But, I have this pretty strong baseline, but I don't let these big wellnessy, like, it's like big wellness. It's not that different from big pharma, like sure, it's kind of touting a different message, but depending on who you are, you're absorbing one more than the other. You're like, yes, like I have to take my medication. Like we were talking about before this call, my grandma, she's like, so like if my doctor gave me this, I am taking it. And it's like, if the wellness industry says this is the new trend and the thing you have to have, I'm doing it. You see it with like beef tallow. There was a whole thing with people putting beef tallow on their vulvas. And I'm like, whoa, no, don't do it. It's like, that's not this is, we don't know anything about this. It's really heavy. Like, anyways, that's a different going down a different path. But to kind of circle back to what you're saying about the stress, that also exacerbates vulvovaginal health issues. So like being so stressed out about what you're doing and the anxiety of dealing with these issues can actually exacerbate them. And so finding a balance there is really, really important.
Stress is really everything. And also there's research that depending on the state of your mind and your body when you eat something, that determines how your body processes it. So you literally, like, if you are calm, relaxed, and happy, and obviously life happens, we're not always going to be living in this flow state, but the better your internal resilience, the better your mental health, the better your sleep hygiene, the better your relationships, the more resilient your body is and adaptable.
Yeah.
To like be able to have a hot dog or drink a beer or use a non-toxic product if you don't have the other one available to you. It's really important. I want to use that to segue into something that you and I have chatted about a little bit offline, but you talk about sexual dysfunction being psychosomatic. Let's dive into what this really means, because you've experienced it. A lot of people have experienced this, and I don't think that we always put two and two together. So talk a little bit about that.
Totally. So this is broad. This even expands beyond the like space we work in of like yeast, BV, UTIs, vulvovaginal dysfunction. This really is, like you said, sexual dysfunction as well. So people who are listening that might have vulvodynia and things like that, where it's like all of a sudden you're getting ready to like have sex, and you feel this like you're nervous or you're stressed out or you're worried about if you like smell or taste right. And then all of a sudden you have this like shooting pain in your vagina, or you're nervous and like it feels like penetration is really difficult, or you did the wrong thing and you stayed in a swimsuit. It's summer and you're like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out. I know I'm going to get a yeast infection. I know I'm going to get a yeast infection. And you perpetuate. I mean, they really are linked. So there's tons of studies, and actually we'll send them, you put them in the show notes, about that these issues exacerbate one another and they play on each other. So vulvovaginal candidiasis is distinctly related to stress. And because I think culturally and socially, there is so much shame and stigma around these issues, around women and sexuality, we are now only kind of like digging our own graves. We need to talk about these issues more. They need to be on the table so that we don't further, like you said, exacerbate them through this like psychosomatic cycle of stress, doing the thing, being more stressed, feeling embarrassed, feeling shame.
So true. Do you feel at all too? I've talked to a few people about this, that if you're not in the right relationship, or there's something off in a dynamic and you might know it in your gut, but you're intellectualizing it or you're justifying it or overriding how you intuitively feel, that can come up in physical symptoms.
Yeah, because when people always say this, like, my pussy knew before I did, it hated it, it always had BV. And I'm like, okay, like, not no. And like, let's put some real thought in that. And it's because it's like, yeah, he's not calling me back. Like, I'm stressed out. He wants an open relationship. He's sleeping with somebody else. Like, you're feeling sad. You're feeling stressed. It's absolutely part of it. And semen is basic. Like if we're thinking about the pH scale, right? We have a vaginal microbiome. It has a pH. It's typically acidic, same as, or it should be, like beer, tomatoes. It's why it tastes that way. It's why our vaginas bleach our underwear. So if you're wondering why your underwear and your crotch is kind of white, it's because we have an acidic vagina, so the discharge can do that to your underwear. But semen is basic, and so it can fuck with your pH. That's another reason why people are like, oh my God, my partner's giving me BB all the time. What is going on? It could be just from that. But also, yeah, if you're in a shitty relationship and you're not feeling good all the time, and then you're kind of like forcing yourself into intimacy, which like I've done many a times, be like, oh, I need to do this, or like, okay, like we just need to like have this connection, or I'm going to go over there late. Like that, your body knows,
Your body knows. Your body knows.
that the stress is playing into it. If he is not making you feel good and you're noticing that you're feeling self-conscious and like your pH is off and like you maybe have a little bit of BB lingering, like look inward. Sure, maybe it's the condoms, maybe it's the lube, maybe it's your cycle. Like, during your hormonal cycle after our estrogen drops, like we are more susceptible to yeast and BV. Like those all play a factor. And is your partner a douchebag?
Mm-hmm.
or the person you're sleeping with or your boyfriend. And if they're fuck that shit, you know?
True. It's true. And it's so sad too, because I think as women, we are afraid to leave things that don't feel right for us. We're afraid to quit the job. We're afraid to leave the relationship. We're afraid to be in our 30s and recognize that we're in the wrong career. We have the wrong partner. And we're afraid to.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much alongside caring for our sexual health and how it relates to our own identities as women, then wrap that up with aging of any sort. And it's this double whammy. You're like, oh my God, like, am I gonna have to start over? Or like maybe you want kids and you think about, your physiology and your quote unquote timeline. Like all of that stuff plays into it. And really like happiness comes from within. We are traveling on this like expected timeline of kids and motherhood and careers, and it's all, I mean, not to get all like woo woo about it, but like it's all fake, like it is what you make it. Like you're starting a new career. I started a new career. Like I had a good photography career and I was like, let's blow this up and talk about vaginas all the time, and like I couldn't be happier. I'm so grateful. Like build your community, find people you trust, date people you like. It's just you've got one life. And I do feel like right now culturally people are starting to see that like, oh yeah, this like 2.5 kids, a husband, a house, and this like long-term career is really not what.
Yeah.
We're not getting what the world promised us.
Yeah. It's interesting. I shared a lot about my health journey, but I went through a big health transformation. And then kind of towards the end of that, then came the big life transformations. I was living in New York. I decided to move out. I was in venture capital for 6-7 years, decided to leave and start a business of my own. I'll move into the women's health space. I moved out of New York back to Boston. A lot of really big changes also around the time I turned 30. What was really interesting is I was ignoring, especially the move from New York. New York was amazing and it served its purpose in my life. I was there for 3 years. It was just absolutely the catalyst to everything.
Yeah.
That I really learned how to be a founder in New York because I was in an early stage venture capital career or fund, and I was working with pretty much all female founders at the early stage. But it was time to leave, and I was almost about to sign a lease in Dumbo, and I had a gut instinct that I didn't really want to be there, but I was like, oh, I'll move to Brooklyn, I'll make it better. I'll get somewhere with, more trees or less air pollution, less noise, and make it better. And all of a sudden, I started breaking out in histamine rashes, like full body, head to toe, burning red histamine rashes almost every day. And what's really weird, it was around 2 p.m. every day on the dot for like 4 months. And the minute I moved out of New York, they stopped, and I haven't gotten one since.
Dude, because probably like the anxiety and stress, and that was your stress response. I mean, like oncologists, like all the big ones are like, stress is the number one cause of like everything. And like your body was telling you, like you were waking up and getting in your flow and going to exercise and doing the things like you had to do. And then your body's like, no, you're done.
Exactly.
And like, listen to those things. Like we also have this like, and New York can do this too, like toxic relationship with productivity and like being in the place, doing the thing, and like slowing down. You can be as productive and I think almost more and more focused and efficient if you are paying attention to those signs, if you're getting the 8 hours of sleep. Like, your body knew, and I feel like, you're like, I need to stay in New York, but like, no, you didn't. And like, look where you are now.
Exactly.
So much better.
Sometimes you also have to take the chest fall. Like you just have to jump and trust that your intuition is right and that what is waiting for you on the other side, even if you can't see it, it's going to make so much sense. Tell us, I'm just so curious because you did make a big pivot from being a photographer to starting your own company. And you've done it really well. I mean, you have an enormous and highly successful brand with incredible products. What did that transition look like for you? I think you were in your late 20s, early 30s when you made this jump, but not that you were
27.
27. So what did that look like for you? Was it scary? Was it fulfilling and exciting, or a mix of both?
I think the most important thing that like I hope other founders or people listening to this could take away is that it was slow. Right? Like everybody thinks like, and there is, especially you who was in venture capital, you saw people get money and jump off a cliff, right? But that is not what the journey was for me. Like, I wasn't sure. I was lying about starting Momotaro when I first started it. I was telling people I was working for this brand because I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God, I have to talk about BB all the time. And like, I have to admit it's my vagina. And again, this was like, Instagram was exploding, influencer culture was exploding. And I'm like, I don't want to be that girl. I wasn't ready for it yet. And so there was all of these pieces of me tiptoeing around this idea. And I was formulating with my romantic partner. We started going through a breakup, but then we started seeing a ton of promise in the formulations themselves. They were working for me, which was incredible. So I was like, okay, we can't let this go. I was like, oh, am I leaving these big clients? And so I started to move away from photography, but it was all a process. I mean, there of course was some trust fall in the like, I'm really going to do this. And each day I'm going to take a couple steps forward. But don't get it twisted. I didn't wake up one morning and have all the answers. And I was not the person I am today in terms of my ability to run this business and know what I'm supposed to do. And I did some like programs. I did this like economics course. It was like a 6-month program at Harvard online, which like really helped just in terms of getting the like vernacular around raising money, which I thought I wanted to do. We did go out and raise around 750,000 over the next couple of years to help build formulations and testing and all of those pieces before we fully launched, which was very important. But that also took a long time. It wasn't like I raised money in 3 months and that happened efficiently. And so I was scared. I didn't know if this was going to work. At the time, also natural solutions for vulvovaginal health were not as common. So people were a lot more skeptical about what I was doing. We were innovating on how we were even making these products. So like what makes our products really unique is that we're able to carry these quite volatile, really effective ingredients. So berberine is the active inside of Oregon grape and tea tree, which is what makes it so incredibly effective for candida and gardnerella, things like I mentioned that cause yeast and BV. But we encapsulate it in a lipid. So we are also creating this whole new process for ingredient delivery that made these unique. And it was all just like a kind of a Hail Mary. And then over time, things began to build, right? I began to trust myself more. I learned more. I had cool like OB-GYNs and chemists and pharmacologists jumping on our team that were excited about this because the issues also are becoming more pervasive. We're seeing a rise in these infections year over year because we are also seeing a rise in antibiotic prescriptions and antifungal prescriptions. And all of that is playing together in this world. Also, I think because of the globalization of like the internet and us talking about natural medicine and really having more exposure to understanding what is going in our food and what's happening to nature. Like there's been some cultural pieces and COVID played a big part of it like that have allowed Momotaro to move forward as well as allowed me to grow alongside this. But I am grateful. I am not a new founder. Momotaro is, 8 years old. And people think of these big explosive direct to consumer companies and e-commerce companies, and they need to be them. Like when I first started, I'm like, I have to be Glossier or Away, and I have to make I have to raise $5 million and I have to sell for 50 in 3 years. And like, that is such a gigantic load of garbage. You can do that. It can be done. We've seen it, but that is not the norm. And that is not your marker of success. Like your marker of success should be pursuing something that you love, hopefully finding a way to make it sustainable, right? We need to pay our bills. We need to pay ourselves and doing the thing that you love. And like Momotaro is successful. I'm great. Sure. I'd love to sell my company, but will I sell it and have someone destroy my formulations? No. So maybe we just keep it in house. Like there's all these questions, but I feel grateful to have had that journey, to have learned over time how to create a successful company, what I want from it, what that looks like in the context of my own life and happiness, and then what that really means for the industry itself, for sexual health, for feminine care, for vulva and vaginal health. Like this really is an innovation and it puts onus back into our hands, right? People are like, oh my God, don't touch your vulva, the vagina self-cleaning. And I'm like, yeah, but like we can do things to our bodies safely to help them heal, to feel better, to go on with our day and not be stressed out about the itching in our pants when we're at work or on a date and things like that. So it all kind of plays together in terms of the time, the evolution of the industry, as well as your own personal evolution when you're starting a business. It's not straightforward, and trust your instincts and learn as much as you can and be willing to pivot and all of those things.
Absolutely. How did you see your health transform? Because you started this company motivated by your own personal health struggles. Did it get better as you moved into alignment? And you're an incredible founder. You very healthy. It feels like it was so aligned with you, and building and running your own business. It feels like it's probably extremely fulfilling. Did you find that as you moved into your authenticity and your purpose, there was a correlation with better health outcomes or deeper level of healing?
Without yes, and I will say, and this is like highly personal, you know, the relationship I was in, my ex is still my business partner, and we have a wonderful relationship. That was not the romantic relationship that I was meant to be in. We were meant to be business partners. And so getting out of that absolutely helped alignment for sure. That relationship was exacerbating personal stress, which was making me sicker. Along the same time, obviously, like the SAB, which is our hero product, it's the first product we launched with, like it works. At the end of the day, like this product now with the suite of products with probiotics and our UTI supplement, like changed my life, changed my health, and allowed me to focus on other things. It gave me my confidence back to get into better relationships, like, all of those pieces. So, it's like kind of like what came first, chicken or the egg kind of thing. Like they all were playing together to build better alignment for the life I have now. Like I love what I do and I like having autonomy. And so being here and in this position, and it really also gave me a place for my politics. Like I was going to environmental marches with my mother as a child. Like this has always been a big part of my family, and like advocating for ourselves and the planet around us, and for individuals and women and queer folk especially is always been really important to me. So yeah, it all worked together. What came first, I don't know, but it's now, yeah, I mean, I feel really happy and healthy. I still have a highly sensitive system, so I do use our products every single day.
That's amazing. Tell us a little bit about the results. You've shared some customer testimonials with me or some of the data around just how effective your products are. I'd love if you could share some of that with the audience because I think it's really impressive. And I think the second question to that, or the second part, is there a time, how do women navigate? Because like if you go to your primary care physician or your OBGYN, they're most likely just going to prescribe you a medication. How
Totally.
do we know when the time and place for those are, if at all, and when to use a more natural remedy and alternative? I'm sorry, that's a long-winded two-part question, but I think you know what I'm asking.
Yeah. Okay. So customer testimonials, I mean, that's really how we got our start is we started sharing these products out with like friends and family, like for the most part in like semi unsafe ways. Like we were putting this stuff essentially in like tin cans and selling it, and not even selling, but like giving it away. Um, and we were seeing one of our first test groups was with a community of people who had intravaginal eczema. So, like, imagine tons of teeny tiny cuts on the inside of your vagina, which makes sex painful, which micro tears, are leading to more infections. And we saw incredible results from that community, which was great. We started testing on perimenopausal groups, same thing for dryness. Dryness also leads to micro tearing. So, we were formulating to put, moisturizers that were also delivering clinically studied ingredients like calendula, anti-inflammatories, echinacea, like things that you guys recognize. And we're like, why weren't we putting this in there? And so we saw incredible results from that group. But I really think now it's the individuals that come back to us that like say have seen our ads on Instagram and are like, this was a Hail Mary. I trusted it. And we get like novels back from people that are just like, I couldn't have sex with my partner. I was so self conscious. I use this every day now. This has changed my life. And it's really kind of like sad, but the reality, they're like, you guys cannot go out of business because it happens so much to get small, private, underfunded or not funded. Like we bootstrapped. So like we don't have venture capital. Like they just go out of business and disappear. And so it's really, really sweet. And it's for those people who have recurrent issues, whether that's itching or inflammation, or like every cycle you feel discomfort, or you've had the like rounds and rounds of antibiotics for BV and you cannot seem to kick it. These are products that like now our community use every single day. And that's also another big difference is like using products prophylactically. Like, we have not been given the opportunity as women to address these issues ahead of time. And this will kind of like segue into the second part of your question, is that like we've been traditionally told to go to the doctor when we already have like issues. You're like, oh my God, I have white clumpy discharge in my underwear now. You already have a yeast infection if that's what's happening, right? You weren't told or taught that at the onset of this, the like singular itch, irritation, discomfort. Say you wore that slutty ass Fenty G-string for a little bit too long, or you know what, it didn't really fit right. And like, you feel uncomfortable now, right? Like, I've been there. Again, this is like, I love to buy the beautiful, organic, like bespoke underwear, but you know what? I also like a skanky lingerie set sometimes. And that doesn't make me feel good all the time. And so like those situations. So anytime you have that, like, you can use, say, a product like the SAD. You should be taking your probiotic every day. You should be taking, maybe say you're prone to UTIs, like take that UTI, supplement. It doesn't have to be to the point of, oh, I'm already at an infection. Like, we also, as women, are told that like we deal with pain more. So like, we're quieting that discomfort. We're told our vaginas are self-cleaning. So we're like, oh, it's supposed to figure itself out. And like, sure, the vagina is self-cleaning, which is amazing. It's expelling discharge and blood and cells every given day for the most part, but it's not self-fulfilling. Like, we still have all of these third-party factors like sex and underwear and diet changes and travel and blah, 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 that we do experience discomfort from, that we can address immediately. And we really should be, because as we know, within any aspect of healthcare, prevention is way more sustainable and affordable, both emotionally and financially, than treatment, post-acute symptomatic care. So like, before you go to your doctor, or even if you do, so this is where like, to err on the side of caution, if you have never been diagnosed with a yeast infection, bacterial vaginosis, UTIs, any of those things, you should be getting regular pap smears. You should be getting tested. If something is off and you do not recognize, like, self-diagnosing can be very taboo. Don't necessarily do that. But if you are somebody who does understand your body and understands these symptoms and knows you have these, sure, like, absolutely come and use our products. I highly recommend that. And or to address those daily discomforts, irritations, etc. If you are going to your doctor, and so right now, a big project of ours is in-office sampling. So I was really proud, like a couple years ago, we got like booked into our first Kaiser Permanente, which if you're in California, that was like my doctor. It's a big chain on the West Coast that I went to. Like, and I was like, wow, we're in Kaiser. So we know doctors can give our products out alongside these medications or as an alternative. And this goes back to agency and education as well, right? Because people are going and they're already way like infectious. They're like, they've got the white clumpy discharge. They're, testing for bacterial vaginosis. And so they're getting those antibiotics or antifungals, which also, again, we know are exacerbating recurrence rates. So if you can, and your doctor is open to this, and this could go down another chute, is that like your doctor works for you. If you do not like your practitioner, find a new practitioner. If you have the ability, talk to them about the type of care that you would like. If you want to take a natural and you have the opportunity to approach first, do that. Or maybe you go to a naturopath. Of course, there's nuance to this conversation. If you get a UTI and you have a kidney infection, that is life-threatening. You have to take the antibiotics. That can kill you. Like, that is not a fuck around and find out situation. But we should know these things, right? Bacterial vaginosis is not going to kill you. It's a pH imbalance caused by Gardnerella. Like, you can address BV with natural antimicrobials, and addressing it. Like, if I take BV medication, like a Metrogel, I get a kidney infection immediately. Metrogel does not work for me. It fucks me up. So like, these are all things I wish people knew more, like, and why we need to expand sexual education as a whole, so that we can start in a place where we are addressing these things prophylactically first, naturally. And then look, if you have to and you need to, and this is a good option for you, or you're willing to experiment with it, go for it. Take the antibiotics, take the antifungals. Like, I just got bit by a dog. It's the first time I took antibiotics in 10 years since I like since my original like BV infections and like getting BV and then a kidney infection. And it was on my hand and I was like, I cannot fuck around and find out with a hand infection. Like I'm still a photographer. I use my hands every day. So I had to take them. But like, let's create more agency and understanding around our healthcare and around our bodies. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It goes back to natural medicine, eating the hot dog versus using it. Like there should be both. Western medicine has done incredible, incredible things. And we still have wonderful natural and organic options we can use as well.
Right.
Long-winded, sorry.
No, that was really important because I think also it can be very black and white. What we need, our traditional medical system is acute and reactive. It is not built for healthcare. It is also not built to prevent these chronic diseases or is it meant to treat these chronic diseases because chronic diseases are a product of our modern lifestyle. But if you are having a heart attack or if you have a staph infection or a kidney infection, no herb is going to, you can't meditate a heart attack away or take an herb to cure your kidney infection. There is so a time and place for traditional medicine. But unfortunately, it is not healthcare, and healthcare is based on how we care for ourselves, our daily routines, our lifestyle. But I think it can get so polarizing and so misunderstood when it's either one or the other because we really need both.
We do need both.
Not be alive without traditional healthcare.
No, we have longer lives now. Like maternal health care, like we are able to test and see things like diabetes medicate. I mean, there's just so many amazing things. And the black and white is exactly right. Like we need way more room for nuance in the world right now.
100%. And I think people don't like to understand the duality of things. I think it's so much more satisfying for the brain, or it's like that control mechanism. If I can categorize this as this, therefore I don't have to see that there can be two truths that exist at once, which requires flexibility. It requires a little bit more malleability. People love to bucket themselves in either this or that, or it's like health and wellness we were talking about before. To be healthy, I have to be so extreme. Like I can only have coconut sugar and natural sugars, and that isn't wellness. Like wellness is inherently flexible. It's adaptable. It moves with you. And it's also like case by case. Like that's part of being intuitive and being embodied. So really important note. I also wanted to ask you, we've talked a lot about the products and how we can care for ourselves. What else in lifestyle can we do? Like what foods are really good for vaginal health? And preventing these infections, what, best practices around intimacy or, working out and changing our clothes. I don't know if you have favorite non-toxic products like laundry detergents or give us all your tips and tricks and what you have found to be the most effective in your favorites.
Yeah, it's those things, the lifestyle with vaginal health really do make a difference. They were huge for me. Like running through my most optimized lifestyle. I sleep naked. That's been really helpful. Like if you are wearing tight clothes, pants, underwear, whatever, all day long, it's really nice to like let your vulva breathe. Of course, as mentioned, if you are dealing with recurrent infections and like the underwear is a thing, like if you can wear a butted underwear, like thongs can be really precarious for transferring bacteria for UTIs, things like that. I love a thong. I think it's honestly more comfortable. But say you can wear a skirt and like some butted underwear that are 100% cotton or natural fiber that actually breathes. So you want fiber that like wicks away moisture. You don't want to hold like polyester up close to your vulva and create a breeding ground for bacteria that will enhance any of those infections or cases, UTIs, yeast, BV. So I always recommend that. Laundry detergent is a big one. Anything with like heavy fragrance in it. Fragrance is really not good. We don't really need it. Like our products smell a certain way, but it's not because we make them scented. They just smell from the natural ingredients. So I use drops. They're like a eco one or sometimes 7th generation, which is good. Those are all like basic. You can find them on like the Whole Foods shelf. They're not astronomically expensive for your laundry detergent. Shout out my favorite sheets in the world are Attitude. They are very expensive, but they're an organic bamboo. I'm obsessed with them and I got my boyfriend on them and now he buys them, which is amazing. Go for their sales. They SMS sales all the time. Food is a big one. Sugar feeds candida. So if you are someone that's dealing with chronic yeast, it's annoying, but cutting out as much sugar as you can, simple sugars, and that could even mean simple carbs, white breads and things like that, alcohol. There's something called the Candida diet, which I did do. It wasn't like the be all end all for me, but it did help. A lot of leafy greens, a shit load of fiber. I think that's really good in general. Like I said, I don't really eat a lot of meat, so I eat primarily vegetarian and pescatarian anyways. But we're going through this like big must have protein in everything cultural movement right now. But don't forget about your vegetables. We love protein. I'm all for it. But leafy greens, fermented foods, amazing. So kimchi's, pickles, things like that are really, really great. Yogurt, people are big. Again, if you're going to eat yogurt though, find a low sugar one. So like organic Greek yogurts, things like that are awesome. Exercise and movement daily and rest. Those both play into getting enough sleep. So moving your body every single day. Walking is great for women. A little bit of weightlifting, obviously, progressive overload over time. As you know, I'm 36. Like I'm looking towards menopause in the next couple of years, but it allows me to sleep better at night. Like you said, sleep hygiene is really important. I notice the difference that the last thing that I look at is a phone versus the pages of a book. Even if it's just a couple pages of the book, I sleep better, which is so bizarre. Like that big bright screen, and that rest really plays into your stress and cortisol like production and being able to like have a strong immune system. I take my supplements every day, again, which is not a lot. I take our probiotic. We formulated ours specifically to address these issues kind of from a lot of different directions. So it improves immune health. It addresses your gut microbiome as well as your vaginal microbiome. Because we do so many things and I've taken so many medicines that fuck up our gut, we really wanted to balance both, not just the singular vaginal microbiome. So that's really important. Sex, hygiene, peeing after sex, of course. I feel like everyone knows that. Very important. If you are sensitive and dealing with BV and you're not trying to get pregnant, whether you're fluid bonded or not, like pulling out, using condoms, that can be really good because semen can be agitating. Condoms, of course, too. Condoms and lube, very important. When I was using condoms, I was using Lola condoms, people like Skin, lube, big one. No flavors, no fragrances. Like if you are buying cake flavored lube, that is not helping you. Or anything, mint chocolate chip, strawberry, blowjob oil, all that shit. If you are putting fragrance and flavor into your vagina, you are going to eventually fuck around and find out. So those are big. I think that was like my quick fire.
That was unbelievable. So many good tips. Cake flavored. Oh my God.
It's a thing. The first lube I ever got when I got my orthotricycline from a Planned Parenthood in Pacific Beach, San Diego, California, came with a bright green, like bullet-shaped mint chocolate chip lube from Planned Parenthood. I was like, okay, great. And I was like, I was a teenager when I got that. I was like, I might have been 15, which is kind of wild. More on that later. But yeah, mint chocolate chip lube, and it came in like a brown paper bag. And I was like, okay, so like, I was like, am I putting this on a penis? Am I putting it on me? Like either way, I'm putting green goo on or in my vagina. Like what the fuck? So.
Oh my God, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
That's horrifying. That's crazy. Wow. Okay, super good tips. I want to ask you a little bit of details. One of the last questions, and then I have one more for you. But what are some of your favorite meals and snacks that you feel support vaginal health, overall health, make you feel good, hormone health?
I love food. I'm incredibly, incredibly food driven. It's a big part of my life. It's the one thing I do in my life that is creative and is not paid for. I cook a ton. It's creative, but I'm like not getting paid for it. It's like my free creative thing. I wake up, I do yoga most mornings, and I eat a lot of eggs. I tend to do a soft boiled, like 7-minute egg. I'll start with that. I buy good bread. So I buy from local bakeries, a lot of sourdough, and I'll do grass fed butter. I tend to put a lot of veggies in my breakfast as well. So like raw veggies, I'll eat it with like, kind of like, I'm a wannabe like French girl, French breakfast salad. Tin fish as well. If I'm not buying fish, of course I love Fish Wife, which is great. But any high quality, like ethically sourced tin fish as well, which is really nice. For me, so high fats, I eat a ton of avocado. I'm from San Diego, from California, which I love. So I'm like a very snacky plate person. Fish, eggs, lots of cruciferous vegetables. I eat a lot of pasta, actually. So again, it's something I also try to do from places that are making it in-house. So there's a really great place by my house in San Diego that home makes in like the old school Italian air dried pasta way. So you're still getting like the complex carb. It's not like bleached white flour that's dried really fast. Like again, this goes back to like how we make products, and food products is really important, right? Everyone's like, "Oh my God, I can eat gluten when I'm in Italy." Like that's why. So big veggie pastas, lots of mushrooms. I do eat a decent amount of fish. If you're eating a lot of fish, I try to be careful to eat across the food chain. Obviously, our oceans are very overfished, so I'm not like going to sushi and eating big ahi steaks all the time. Smoked mackerel. I eat a lot of sardines and anchovies and things like that. And I try to eat seasonally. And I always allow myself if I'm craving it, like I said, I kind of have like an animal ethics things. I feel sad for them, so I don't eat a lot of red meat, poultry. But like if I wake up and I'm like, I want a cheeseburger, I'm gonna eat a cheeseburger. But that's like again, like once or twice a year. And I try to if like find grass-fed, ethical, really high quality. It's a treat. So I eat it and I enjoy it. And I'll have, maybe a glass of red wine with it or something like that. And I like cheese. I mean, it's really all on the table for me.
Yeah, which is really healthy too. Because I think in today's social media culture and even just the food noise and diets out there, it is so
Mm-hmm.
extreme. And like, I think people forget that diversity is one of the best things that we can do for our gut
Yeah.
microbiome and our overall
Yeah.
health. But like, we need carbohydrates as women. We need them for our
Yes.
thyroid. We need them for our sex hormone production. We need them for our
Mm-hmm.
energy levels and ovulation and healthy cycles. Like the
Mm-hmm.
diversity of
Yeah.
hydrates and high quality even sourdough and
Yeah.
great dairy, and I think it is all about quality and diversity, but
People
that's really
people
really
also say
important here.
yeah, people also say they're like, "Oh my God, like I can't eat like this. It's expensive," or like, and they'll find themselves at like a Sweet Green or something every day. But like, I also, if I buy the groceries that I'm inspired by that are beautiful, I am more likely to eat at home, which is always, no matter what, inherently better for you because you don't have all the extra oils. You don't know it's the food. Even if you're at nice restaurants, it's like 9 times out of 10 not organic. It's not cost effective. Buy the beautiful thing and eat it at home. Like go to the farmer's market and buy that $10 ball of burrata if that's what you want. And like find joy, like getting, like you said, finding joy in food and like that oxytocin and enjoying it while you eat it is really, really good for you.
Mhm.
It's also why, and not to go into this, but like factory farming, like these animals are stressed out. That stress hormone's going into the meat. It's not great. And again, that's scary tactic to keep, but just being aware and like, yeah, eat across the food chain. Right
Totally.
now it's winter, beets, like I'm eating cauliflower. I'm roasting a lot of vegetables, like making pestos at home, things like that.
Yeah, I love that. And creativity is also so healthy. I think creativity is my word for 2026, but there
Cute.
is such an energy behind creativity. And I think that we forget to find it in places that aren't our work. So whether
Yeah.
that is like I find it in similar to you cooking or even like scouring the internet for recipes
Hmm.
I want to make or
Yeah.
Pinterest, deep cleaning your apartment or spending 10 minutes on your skincare routine,
Hmm.
there are so many really healthy ways to quench that curiosity, that creativity, and energize ourselves. And I think sometimes we forget in really busy careers and lives that slowing down and enjoying things is just as healthy as productivity and optimization. So I appreciate
It
that.
absolutely is.
My last question for you is, and you've shared a little bit about this, but what is one thing that you do every day to feel your best that you couldn't live without?
Uh, every day. Well, I would love to, but even I can get a little bit fixated on yoga as exercise or like movement as exercise. So I do try to take like a break. I don't do it every day, but I will always go out inside and walk every single day. And I try to do it first thing in the morning. So I'm not mainlining screen time as like a business owner. That's really easy to do. So that's my big one. If it's every single day, it's walking and actually shower before bed. I have to shower before bed. A hot shower helps me like settle down. It's very relaxing. I put on a robe before I even leave my bathroom, and then I get straight in bed and I'll read a couple pages of my book.
I love that.
So they're pretty simple. It's not extreme. And good food. My quote always for me, even when I travel, is like, never waste a meal. Like there's always opportunity to eat something delicious.
I'm going to you're in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
My sister lives in San Diego. I'm
What?
gonna Yeah, and I'm out there like I know. I can't believe we haven't met up yet. But next time I'm out there, I'm gonna text you because we're gonna go out to 1 or 2 meals and I want to know your
Yes.
favorite spot. San Diego
Yes,
has like the world's best coffee shops.
it does. Or bring your passport and let's go down to the Valle de Guadalupe and have like a crazy, delicious, like going across the border to like Tijuana and Valle is so easy and the food is so incredible right there. Right now there's great chefs. It's easy. If you have Century, you can just walk across really easily. It's great.
Okay, we're doing it. I love that.
Yeah, I can't believe that. Yeah, we have to hang out. San Diego's kind of a weird place sometimes, but it's also amazing. Great coffee shops, great seafood,
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
beaches.
Yeah. San Diego, I mean, I'm a coffee snob. Like people ask me your highlight of my every day I do a gratitude list. I write what I'm grateful for right now, and then I do what I'm grateful for in 5 years. And it's like an active
Wow.
manifestation. And I love it. Number one on my list every day, not intentionally, is my coffee. I go to bed thinking about my coffee. I'm excited to wake up.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm like having a funny relationship with coffee because I love it. I love the ritual of
Yes.
it, but I don't want to get too stuck in needing it. So I do take a couple days off because I'm like, I don't want to be like, I can't function without it. But oh my gosh, I live in a neighborhood called Barrio Logan. I don't know if you know where that is,
No.
but shout out to Provecho if you're in San Diego and Cafe Moto. They're like my dailies and their coffee is just like incredible and the people are so lovely and
Oh my
it's the
God, I love
best.
that. There's also nothing like going into a coffee shop. That is
Yeah.
the best feeling. Walking to a coffee shop to get your coffee. It's the simplest thing.
Yeah.
$5 to $6, and there's truly nothing better than that.
I agree 100%.
I love it. Well, thank you, Lindsay. This has been an amazing conversation. We're definitely going to have you on again. But it was so good to talk to you, and we will see you soon.
You as well. Thank you so much, Annie. I appreciate all the work that you are doing for us out in the world.
Amazing. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.
If something in today's conversation resonated with you, take a moment to pause and notice where it's sitting within you.
Living in alignment is not about fixing yourself or becoming someone new. It's about listening, trusting, and slowly coming home to who you already are.
Thank you for spending this time with us and for being part of this community.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who might resonate with it too. See you next time.